Thanks for watching KVUE News Midday, everybody. I'm Jenny Lee. An upcoming court decision could halt access to a popular abortion pill. A federal judge here in Texas could overturn the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's approval of mifepristone, one of two medications used together in more than half of abortions in our country. David Donati is a staff attorney with the American Civil Liberties Union. He joins us now to discuss this. Good morning, David, and thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
Now, before we get to the ramifications of the case, can you give us a little background on the lawsuit?
Of course. So this case is in the Northern District of Texas, Amarillo, Texas, to be exact. And what's happening, stripped of all the legalese, is that a group of out-of-state lawyers are suing in front of a hand-picked Texas judge to undo the 23-year-old Food and Drug Administration approval of mifepristone, which, as you said, is part of a regimen for medication abortion. The medication is safer than many of our safest drugs, including ibuprofen and other NSAIDs, certainly safer than other medications that are popularly used, like Viagra, for example.
So let's go back to the ramifications. If that federal judge who was appointed by former President Donald Trump, is what you were alluding to, sides with the lawsuit, what happens next, David?
Of course, the devil is in the details, as with every court case, and so we would have to wait and see what the judge decides specifically, but the ask is to rip mifepristone off of the shelves in pharmacies and clinics everywhere in the United States.
So
as you...
Sorry, David, go ahead. No, I apologize.
As you indicated, this is a substantial impact on people's right to choose. Medication abortion is used in over 50% of abortions nationwide. It is far preferable to pregnant people than surgical abortions, for example, and it may be the right decision for people who are making decisions about their own healthcare and family planning.
So, David, what does this mean for states where abortion is legal?
If the interest groups get their way and Judge Kaczmarek issues a nationwide injunction requiring the Food and Drug Administration to recall its approval of mifepristone from the year 2000, it would mean that this crucial part of the regimen for abortion medication is not available in the United States. We would have to wait and see as to how people respond to it, but it would be a substantial blow to people's access to medication across the United States.
So what is the ACLU doing to prepare? You know, the White House said last week it would push back any efforts to ban this drug. What about your organization? What are you guys doing?
We're fighting this on all fronts, and unfortunately being here in Texas, where we're really at the front lines of efforts to compel pregnancy in this state and across the country. So we are in the midst of a legislative session where we've seen quite a bit of bad legislation introduced that would infringe upon people's fundamental rights, not only to choose whether to fulfill a pregnancy or not, but whether to travel interstate, for example, whether corporations can provide health insurance to their employees. So we are fighting on that front. We've been fighting with lawsuits against Texas bounty hunter law, Senate Bill 8. We've been fighting to preserve abortion access, and as ACLU nationally, we've been fighting actually for several years to remove unnecessary restrictions on access to mifepristone. Mifepristone is not only as safe as Tylenol, but it's one of the most regulated and restricted drugs on the market. Amongst the FDA's 20,000 plus approved drugs, mifepristone is alone in its restrictions on access. So we've actually been saying, as opposed to these groups ripping it off the shelves, people need to be able to get it on the same terms as they get any other medication that is prescribed to them by a healthcare provider.
Again, mifepristone approved probably around 23 years ago by the FDA. We will see. We're expecting a ruling any day now. We were expecting it as early as Friday. So thank you for your insight, David Donati, staff attorney with ACLU. We appreciate your time. And we will be right back.